Hello and welcome to the Battling Barrow and another Building Middle-earth video, the video series in which we build Middle-earth one video at a time. And today we are... Excuse me, that's not very professional for me, is it? Hello? Yeah, just recording the video, mate. Yeah, I've got a half. You're where? And it comes in pints? Yes, we are heading over to Bree. I want to build the Prancing Pony, so that's what this video is about. This will be my third time building the Prancing Pony. I built it once, had a website back in the day for the Middle-earth, then Lord of the Rings strategy battle game, and I built it, and it was massive. It was just built out of cereal box card and corrugated card, and I think each floor was like 3 inches tall. I then quickly rebuilt it when I used to run the lastalliance.com, and that was a good one. I've still got it. We can have a look at it in a minute. It was a bit more height-wise into scale, but at the time I only had shots from the movie and the movie itself, so I couldn't see what the sides or back looked like. But I also based it upon what the Perry twins did on their Bree board. And yeah, it was good, probably a bit oversized, but since then we know a bit more how it should look due to Weta Workshop Sideshow releasing like a Prancing Pony diorama. So we're going to base it on that for the sides and back. I might put my chimney on the back and the central, my second one, and really it's got 2 chimneys either side. So we're going to build a more movie accurate Prancing Pony. The first thing I did obviously was my usual gather supplies, reference images from the internet, and it was then I come across someone called Medieval Mason on YouTube had sort of built a Prancing Pony and had left plans for it. So that's great. So it means we've already got some plans we can use. I'll link the YouTube video down below in the comments and description where you can get hold of these plans. Now you might be thinking, well, what do we need your video for, Kev, if there's someone already has got, we can just go and build it based on that? Sure, you could do, but for mine, I want mine to be, 1, the scale of the game, 28mm, and this one is a bit oversized, so there's that. 2, I want it to be playable inside as well, whereas he uses solid foam to make the piece. We're going to make it like how I'd make my modular houses that you may have seen on the channel, where you can sort of lift the floors up and get inside the building, and there'll be like a floor plan battle map inside so you can get in there. So yeah, I'm also going to add some lights in this one and then maybe revisit this in the future. So first of all, let's go and see my old Prancing Pony. Okay, so I keep all my overflow terrain in an attic space. Now my bedroom's in the attic, so my storage space is really limited. So you've got these little, what we call voids off to the side of the bedroom. And it's in here where all my extra terrain is. And here is the Prancing Pony, and it is a bit battered. But let's take it down and have a look. Yeah, here it is. It still looks good, but it's bad. Let's have a put it on the table and have a look. So yeah, here it is. It's in a bit of a sad state. We're missing a chimney pot. The roof's actually intact, okay. The sign is, I do have the sign. You'll see that make an appearance later on. But yeah, the ground floor is where the most damage has been done. It's split. The floor was made from balsa wood. I don't know why I chose to do that, but the floor is balsa wood. I obviously had access to foam core, which is what the walls are made out of. It was made from Hurst Art blocks for the wall here. You know, it's nice, I like it, but the bar is here. I might repurpose the bar, I don't know yet. I might just build a new one. But I don't know whether to just throw this away or try and salvage it at a later date and use it as a different type of in games. Heading up the floor. Ah, there's the chimney pot. That's just there. So I still have the chimney pot. Okay. But yeah, that's what that one looks like. It's a bit oversized. I think the width it's okay, but it's just a bit big, which is fine because I want it to be playable inside, but you still can be playable inside. But that's what that looks like. But I think we can do better. So the first thing we've got to do is head over and get those plans and print it out. The first thing to do is head over to this YouTube channel and this video in particular and watch this. In the description there are plans that you download. You might ask yourself, well, why don't I just make it in the same manner as the YouTube video in question, which sure you can, but it's more of a diorama piece and not a tabletop gaming piece, so the inside is not accessible for instant. So we are going to make some slight changes. For instant, the first one is the scale. We are going to print it off at 85%, and then when it all prints out, you end up with this, and here's like the back. And the reason I say 85% scale is going to be good doorway, it's going to be good size for the model. So at full scale, it's a bit oversized for our purposes. The next thing to do is to cut these out and assemble them in pieces. This is the back. This is the front even. This is what we want to do first. I'm trying to get my head around which is which here. So yeah, this is the front here. So this would be attached to here. And this gets attached to there. So we're going to cut these out. I can get the overall, frame, you get the overall size of it. So now we actually come to cut it out. It has sort of guide layers for each part, like an outer box. I got confused by this, so you don't have to worry about cutting it out. And for now, I'm just going to cut it out so it's front, back, and the two sides. Then later on, I'll worry about cutting it down into floor layers and then individual components. For now, I'm just worried about the front, back, and the two sides. On to construction, and it's just a case of cutting out bits of the templates out of foam board, and because I am cutting out foam board, always use a fresh blade and replace it on a fairly regular basis so you don't get tearing on your foam board. So at the moment I've just worked out the height for the floor, and we're going to do the ground floor first, and I'm just cutting out a piece here just as one of the walls. Now this has, the bottom floor has a wall section, like a brick section, and a wattle and daub sort of plaster section. So this is American dollar store foam, so this is great that you can peel the paper off really easy. So for this, I'm measuring out where the stone wall is going to be, cut through the paper, and then with the ruler still in place, just tear it back. Most of it will come off in one part, but if it doesn't, just wet your finger and rub it off. Once you have got all the paper off, I can come in with a ballpoint pen and just draw a brickwork pattern, making it quite detailed, as I want to get lots of small little blocks in here rather than sort of big inch long blocks. Now once I've done that, I come in with my texture ruler just to texture it. If you don't have one of these, a rock or tin foil will do. I have temporarily assembled it here with pins just so I can get the overall shape and see how it's going to look, because before we glue it, I want to trace over the plans where the doors and windows are to show where they're going to be. This makes it easier, and then I can come in with a knife and a rule just for those nice crisp straight edges and cut out the windows and doors. Now it's all assembled and glued, I can glue this little sort of back porch bit into place. I made this separate. I realized that I am going to have a floor section here, so I'm going to need to cut out the a little ridge for it before I can do the floor, which I'm doing here out of a soft XPS foam. This is underfloor insulation, just a case of tracing around the inside of my glued floor, then coming in again with a rule for nice straight crisp edges and just cutting out the floor. And the floor itself has is a flagstone floor, so I'll be adding some of that detail in. But what I want to do is try to make sure that it fits snugly in there. So if I lift it up, it holds in, but it's easily to remove as well, because if you've seen my module of houses, you know how this works. You lift the entire piece up to have the ground floor, and the first floor will be attached to the top of the ground floor. So then you just lift the first floor up, leaving the ground floor in place if you're going upstairs. But for now, with my cat in the way, it is texturing it up with my texture roller, and you can see here in this picture that it is a flagstone floor, so it's just a case of putting that flagstone in at an inch grid of this weird bendy section a bit further on, and adding in some cracks and pushing in some other corners of it. If you watch my Fornos board, you've seen how I do that. It's the same principle, and it fits snugly and drops out easily. For the first floor, I am assembling it in place over the top of the ground floor just to make sure everything fits into place. I'm gluing in a section at a time and just working out, yeah, that looks fine, that's fine, you know, trying to do it once and not having to redo it. Once it is all glued together, there are two sort of middle roof support sections that we used, and now I can do the ground floor. This is a simple case of tracing round the first floor. There's tracing round the first floor and giving it a bit of extra length at the front and back, so we've got some overhang, cutting it out and putting a plank texture in, and then gluing it into place on top of the ground floor. I'm just holding the first floor in place here just so I can get the alignment correctly. But yeah, there's some overhangs. You'll see this in the template, so just know roughly what to do. So yeah, I'm happy with this. Just making sure it's all nice where I want it, pushing down, and yeah, that is the ground floor done and the first floor. The roof is just made from thin cereal box card. It's just cut to place and then glued in, and that's what those middle support beams are for, just to help hold it into place. I've added some little support struts there, so you can see they're made from foam, and the end gables. The doors are going to be made from chipboard, so that's what I'll be doing now. I won't bore you with the details of that, nor will I bore you with the details of planking, which is just done from cocktail sticks and balsa wood. And the tiling, I'm definitely not going to bore you, but luckily I have, from previous projects, I have a load already made up, so I can glue those into place and make any more as needed. The chimney is made from little 6mm XPS foam cut into about 10mm blocks, put into a tin of rocks to give texture, and I'm just going to put it together like a Lego piece, and it's going to be hollow inside. I want this sort of hollow inside. This is for a future, we'll come back to a future video for why I've done it like this and not made it out of a solid piece of foam. I needed the chimney to be like a real chimney, if that makes sense. And so it also needs to be made into two sections, a smaller one for the ground floor and a taller one for the first floor. And then it's just adding in any extra details like this gable, this bay window here, just going to be made from 10mm XPS foam. So I'm just cutting out the template, coming over to my hot wire cutter once I've got it in, cutting the template, angling it, adding some detail in, and then we can glue these into place into the windows. And once I've got these into place, I can then cut that window out as well, because at the moment it's just a solid piece. I'll need to cut that out so we can add some panes of glass in there and some lead lined windows. I'll also add in some extra window frames later on. It's not here, but we'll do that one, cover the windows. And the last step of construction is we're going to have to, the walls are plaster in places, so what's more plaster, what's going to give you a plaster texture other than plaster itself. So I'm just mixing up some Herculite 2 plaster here, using an old paintbrush just to paint it in between those beams, and that is the construction done. I'm not going to go into too much detail into painting because I've done Tudor-esque houses before on the channel, so just base coat in a brown, like a burnt umber brown. The wall, I've got a whole video on stone texture. The only difference here is rather than using browns to pick up individual bricks, I'll be using more greys because it's a bit more grey stone than sandstone. The roof is painted out in a dark grey, slate grey colour, and the plaster walls are a beige colour. I'll just go around and pick out, and the rest of it's painted in the same way as the other houses. I wasn't happy with the beams. I thought they were too light, so I'm just going to go in with a dark wash, which I recommend anyway because it picks out the balsa wood texture. And if any gets on the plaster, don't worry about it. It's added grime and weathering for you on the so yeah, that's all good. One final dry brush of a light grey, a tan light grey over the roof and the beams, just to pick out all that detail. I wasn't happy with the greyness of the wall. I thought it was too light. I overdid it, so I'm just going to paint it with a heavy homemade wash. So this is more acrylic than water almost, just to real darken that down to match the rest of my Bree houses I've made. And at this stage, this is what it looks like. All I've got to do now is the windows. We'll add some window panes on in the next stage, but onto the windows. My go-to method for diamond lead-lined windows is this aluminium mesh, which is used to repair cars, you know, your car body. It's great stuff. All I do is I paint mine black. You don't have to if you want some sort of silver lead line, but I like the blackness of it. And just cut that out. And the nice thing about this is great for like bay windows, because you can bend it to shape really easy. And this is just then glued into place, and we'll add some plastic acetone behind it to act as a glass frame pane. But what about straight windows? So for this, I created something you can print out onto the acetone, and this will be available for my patrons to download. So there is some straight rectangle lead line windows and some circular ones, because this building has some circle windows as well. So you've got these here available for you free, and available for you for free. And this is just a case of cutting it to size and gluing it into place. And with that, you have a window done, a rectangle lead line window done. I might do some other windows in the future, and I'll put them all on Patreon. But for now, it's just a case of going around and putting these all into place into the windows and adding in some window frames and details, as you can see in that bay there. If you've got windows, we're gonna add some lights to it. This is what it looks like at this stage, but let's add some lights. For this, I am just going to use some simple string lights you can buy on Amazon. I'll hopefully leave a link in a description to what I used. And these are just powered by a one single battery. They're on a switch that you can turn on and off, and they're just a set of string of lights. And there's going to be one of these put into each floor. Now we could just put them in straight away and it will light up and look okay, but what we really want to do is sort of diffuse the windows so it glows rather than seeing an individual LED bulb. And for this, I'm going to use some parchment paper. Now I don't use a wet palette anymore, so I find these wet palette sheets perfect for this task at hand. But if you don't have this, just use parchment paper or greaseproof paper. It works just as well, just to diffuse. All we're going to do is glue these behind the windows. Here I'm just putting it in temporarily, and when you put the light in, so you get that nice glow rather than seeing that individual LED bulb, and that is the desired look we're after. So it's just a case of cutting strips and squares of this out, cutting it into place, and gluing it in with a hot glue gun just behind, as you can see I'm doing here, and I'll do each individual floor. And then when you put your bulbs in, yeah, it just looks like a glow rather than a bulb. And all I'm going to do here is glue the string in around all the windows, make sure I've got as many bulbs in the windows, behind the windows, as possible, just going around the entire piece. And I'm also just going to glue a little sort of holder for the battery compartment, so I can slide in and out and then not bang around inside as well. And yeah, once that's done, that is the windows complete. This is what it will look like at this stage. As I mentioned earlier on, in the early stage, I went around and added some window frames, beams into the windows out of balsa wood and cardboard into the detail ones. And yeah, I'm really happy with how this is looking. This is pretty much it complete at this stage. Yeah, there's only one thing I want to do. Let's add the sign and the Prancing Pony in. This comes from my old Prancing Pony we looked at earlier. It's just made from balsa wood and painted up. So what I'm going to do is glue it in. And with that, this build is done. I'm really happy with it, but we are going to visit it in a future episode where I'm going to add a few other little things into it, some special features, and we're going to cover decorating the interior as well, but that'll be a future video. For now, we can take a look at it. I'm not going to set it up on a Bree board. That might be a future video for anyone that's interested, a bit like how I did the Pirate Town. I can do a Bree setup if you want, because I've got the old Bree buildings made. I'm going to need to work out how to do the floors, so perhaps yeah, some future ideas for a video. But that is it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoy it. Let's take a look at it. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, leave some comments down below, and until the next video, guys, catch you later. Bye bye bye.